Hello and welcome to our AI and the author. Today we are covering genre. I am going to share this document, this document link. Those of you who've already grabbed it, I don't believe anything's new. Those of you who have not grabbed it, you see it's an extensive list. As the title says, these are all my class documents. I guess I could have put all Nicole's class documents, but since it's coming from me, I thought that was a given. So I'm going to share this. Feel free to look over anything you want. Is there anybody that has never used Notion before? Everybody familiar with it? Okay. If not, somewhat familiar. Okay. I just want to make sure everybody understands. Um, if you don't have a Notion account, there are two versions when you sign up, a free and a paid. I have the free. I have no use for the paid. I think pretty much everyone I know uses the free version. So just to let y'all know, don't feel any obligation to get that paid for plan with Notion. The free works great. All right, so in that list that I gave y'all, we are actually going to go over the AI and the author. So this is the one I think we compiled during our first round, still useful. Make sure, go through that and check out all of the little things from there. One thing I wanted to point out, this actually might be a new one. In case anybody just wants this separate link, I'll link that one too. By the way, Lasalia's a liar because she makes the most beautiful Notion pages. Oh, love it. I'm jealous. Okay, so in this one that says my process, I just want to show something real quick. Again, as the title says, it is my process. Take what you like, forget what you don't like. But I kind of tell you how I do every little thing. There is this video right here I want to point out. It's on my YouTube channel. I think it's maybe like a 40-something minute video. However, the only thing I would like for you to watch, if you're still struggling with the brain dump and synopsis, maybe your genre and style, just check out the first portion of this video. It's old. It uses the old story engine layout, so it's going to look completely different from Story Bible, but all of the boxes are the same and do the same things. But the brain dump and synopsis, the method I show in this video is exactly what I still do to this day. And there's so many times I see people having issues, and I swear, I really think the reason I don't have as many issues as people do with random events, random characters, is starting off with that amount of time I take to align my brain dump and synopsis as shown in this video. I also do go over style and genre boxes if you want to check there, but like I said here, some of those tips may have changed, but it's a good start. The rest of the video, just ignore. But if you're really wanting to learn more, I highly recommend checking the beginning one out. Tabby, is there anything you want to say before we get started on anything?
Nope. Nicole and I do things really similar, but yeah, we do use Sudowrite slightly differently. So that's kind of why we're doing this class together, so you guys get different perspectives. But yeah, I always suggest watch Nicole's videos. She has awesome videos, or the ones on Discord. I have some of my videos up for Discord and stuff too. They really do, like, if you find yourself struggling, just keep watching videos and coming to classes.
Alrighty. One thing I want to say too, while I'm thinking about it, because I used to bring this up a lot, but I don't talk about it that much anymore. Genre and style box have what's called recency bias. That means typically the last portion of it is what has the most effect. Okay, that's not saying it ignores the rest. That's not the issue. But typically that has the most effect, just that last little portion. So that's why actually you'll notice if you've been in a lot of classes with me, my stuff looks different. I normally have things on one line, like maybe this kind of way. So it's very easy for me to change things up. So let's say maybe I wanted this action just pull it out a little bit more. I would actually cut that, drop it in at the bottom. Maybe I just wanted a little action, but I wanted to keep it, pop it in at the top. Just change things around like that. It actually does make a difference. And as always, keep your stuff up to date. Genre and style box. This came up in the Discord yesterday. So for those who are new, and we're going to mainly talk about this with style, but we'll go over it with, we're talking about genre today, but we'll go over style briefly with this. Do not have your overall story stuff and use that for every chapter. When I generate my outline, or before I generate my outline, I do put everything in here. So I put all my genres, subgenres, whatever themes or tropes I want in this box. I do maybe include all of the elements for my style. That's just to generate the outline. And actually, I don't even think, yeah, style doesn't affect outline. So this is the one we're going to focus on. But putting all of those elements in right away helps kind of bake that into the outline. That's something I learned from Marigold. So if I have some mystery, I want that mystery kind of tone to it. I'm going to put mystery in here. If I'm going to have romance, y'all know I don't like to use the word romance, but I may actually put something in there before I generate that outline. Either romance or dark romanticism, romantic elements, something along those lines. When I generate a chapter or generate my beats, you best believe that word romance is coming out quick. I am not going to work with that word at all. I don't like to use the word fantasy. I don't like to use those general genre wordings. I find that's when most cliches happen. So for my young adult fantasy, I will have young adult fantasy before I generate my outline. And again, I will have like chosen one, vampires, like whatever my elements are, I will include it in my genre box until I generate my outline. Once my outline is generated, my genre box is only what is going on right now. Excuse me. That was something I thought of along those lines and I completely forgot. I'm sorry. I'll think of it at 3 a.m. Going back to our original conversation. So like in the Discord, it came up the other day. They were writing beats, generating beats, and it kept trying to have the people hook up. They didn't want that. Well, they have erotica in the genre or style box, or maybe even both. Look, erotica, I'm telling you, it is going to have everyone hooking up within 5 seconds of meeting each other. I learned that the hard way. Did somebody have a question? Oh, I didn't make my co-host. Let me make
I
my
was gonna say, Nicole,
co-host.
could you make me co-host really
I'm
quick?
so sorry. Where's Lucia? I saw her. There we go. All right, got my lovely co-host. So I had this psychological thriller where it's a psychiatrist. She's meeting a patient that is involved with criminal activities and everything. Well, I did want the spice, and this is back when I was still learning Sudowrite. I had erotica in there, so I really wanted a lot of spice. This psychiatrist got into her office at 8 a.m., got on the phone with her female best friend at 8:30 a.m., started having phone sex with her. Her client, brand new spanking new client that she never met before, came in, you know, and it was the cheesiest thing ever. She's like, "So what brings you here?" or something along those lines. And he's like, "I think you know why I'm here." And they go at it. That is what erotica does, okay? But in that scene that they were trying to generate, there was no sexual content at all. And they're like, the chapter doesn't say to have sexual content. The beats don't say to have sexual content. Keep in mind, your style definitely affects the beats and prose. Your beats tell the AI what happens in the story. Your style tells the AI how it happens, and so does genre. So if I have erotica here, everything kind of gets filtered out through your genre box. I always think of it as a sifter. So if I had the words fantasy in there, first thing it's going to do is look, does this align with the fantasy genre? If not, hey, kick that to the side and go to another word. So think of your genre box as your filter. So be very careful with the wordings that you have in both of these boxes. Anything you want to add on that, Tabby?
No, I was just going to remind everyone, like what you had said earlier, that just make sure some of that most important stuff is saved for last. And then, like you said, if you're finding things appearing that you don't like, especially like when it's even when you're generating synopsis and outline, and you're going, why does it keep bringing in all this love story? I don't want all this love story. Well, make sure that there's not love story or romance in that genre. Just watch your wording because that's where it's pulling it from. Also, Bruce had a good question. What about putting in romantic comedy?
Um, Rom-com, like with the hyphen, tends to do pretty well. Actually, what did somebody use a long time ago? They used rom-com friends with benefits, and they loved the output from that. So play around with different things. And we're actually going to look at wording today. So romantic comedy would be okay. Romance comedy, no. I'm going to urge everybody, unless you really want that sweet, clingy, together they will get through anything, or, with him by her side. If you want that, that's great. I know there's a lot of sweet, inspirational style books. They like that. If that is not what you want, avoid the word romance. So
Yeah, I
Monique
was just
likes to
gonna
use romantic. Go ahead.
I was no, I was just going to agree with you, Nicole. Like, watch. I mean, they're stereotypes for a reason. I mean, unfortunately, that's what AI is it's pulling in, when you put sweet romance, it's looking for sweet romance. And so, unfortunately, those are the stereotypes that start falling in. So, if you want something slightly different from that, that's fine. If you want to fall into the typical sweet romance or erotica genre, yes, absolutely keep those in. If you're like, nope, I just want pop culture stereotypical story, absolutely you can keep those in. But if you're looking for a little bit different and something that's not so trope, then absolutely you're going to want to change out your wording.
And we are going to go over a bunch of like how you can find a bunch of different words in just a moment. I know I'm kind of bouncing into style here as well, but just forgive me, these two interplay together so much. So we will go over style mostly in another class. But to bring home with another example, how you need to change up your genre and style box. I always like to use the example of like a horror novel. Think of like the Jason movies, which actually typically start off with a killing scene. But think of the next scene. You have typically teenagers partying in the woods or at somebody's house, just having a good time and all that. Usual sexual content. I don't know. However you want to make it, but that scene's meant to be highly high energy, just people having fun, doing stupid things, all of that, right? Yet, if in my genre box, when I'm ready to write that scene, I have horror, slasher horror, extreme violence, still asking for all those things. And maybe my style for my horror, I like to use bloody depictions of gore. Well, if I have those things, I always say the example, let's say the teenagers are partying in the woods. Again, your beats just have that. That's it. Everybody's having fun. No killing is supposed to happen right now. But guess what? I said I wanted bloody depictions of gore. The AI is listening to my instructions. Okay. It's not thinking like we do. It's not thinking, oh, she has bloody depictions of gore here, but I don't think this scene's supposed to have it. No, it's connecting one word to the next. It's a probability machine. So my teenagers
Yeah.
having fun in the woods. So I always say somebody's going to have a branch fall on their head and it's going to smash open like a watermelon because I said I wanted bloody depictions of gore. Dang it.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with Nicole on that. Think of the AI kind of like a junior writer who's just like really excited and really wants to help you write your story. And you said, I want bloody depictions of gore. Well, that little junior writer who's never written a good story yet is gonna go, oh, she wants it here. You know. So think of the AI as kind of like that. Is they want to include everything that you gave them notes on.
Couldn't find my unmute button. Yes, definitely. And that's why we say use caution with those hyphens. Again, for those new, let's see, I have 27 words in this box right now. It's showing right here. If I make some hyphens here, I now have 25 words, even though I did not delete stuff. That is a way to get in more words if you really need them. However, I have put almost 200 words in my boxes before. Hey, I thought it was only 20 or 30 something words because I used hyphens. It did not help my prose in any way. I think it actually hurt it because, like Tabby just said, it was trying to fit in everything. And I didn't know what I know now. I actually had a lot of contradictions in there too. All right, for multiple POVs, that is a really good question for style, but I'll cover it really quickly too. I don't change my genre for POV, I don't think. I'm trying to think of my mafia stuff, which is my main. I know in genre I do have morally black, anti-hero, and I put the net character's name in parentheses. That's only for my male character. So I do delete that when I'm on my female character. And then I just slightly change up my style. I'll find the exact prompt for our style class. Excuse me, y'all, my allergies are kicking in again. But for my style box, I have one that I really love to go to. And what I did was I worked with ChatGPT, and you can use Quick Chat too. I told it something along the lines of, here is the style for my male character in my dark mafia romance novel. I want a style for my female character. I kind of briefly described her. And I said, I want the style to sound slightly different, but not be jarring to the reader. And it gave me something that worked beautifully. So that's how I change up my style and genre. Tabby, what about you?
Yeah, so I was gonna say you can absolutely like I'm one of those who I usually don't mess too much with my genre box because I love the analogy that Nicole gave me is that my genre box is my house. Like I don't want to change my house. Like this is how my house is. But the rooms inside are my style box. So I change around my rooms and styles inside the house all the time. So that's usually I'm with Nicole on that. But if you're having an issue, like let's say you're writing a horror story and you have two different point of views, and one of the point of views is the antagonist is the serial killer, and you want it to be much darker from his point of view, you can test and see, like maybe you can go in and change the genre and see how that works for you. But usually I just stick with changing the style box.
All right, so we're fixing to go into how you could find all these words. I just wanted to show again how my genre looks before I generate my outline. Because again, there's a difference in how I do my genre box before versus after the outline's generated. I'm sorry, hold on just a minute, let me cough. So sorry, y'all. I swear one of these days y'all are going to be as happy as I am when I actually stop coughing and everything in class. All right, so you can see here I have coastal thriller. I did decide I wanted to do the non-linear narrative, so I told it that. I told it how I wanted it to open and then how I wanted it to switch up. Will the AI do this properly? There's a good chance it won't. However, I'm still going to give it the opportunity to do that because, like I always say, well, I always say, don't give it the chance to mess up. If you know how you want something, tell it to the AI. Be specific. Will it always get it right? No, but generally it'll get it closer. And then I can just edit from there because we are writers. You got to do some editing. So I've told it this, other things we could do. Tabby, what's some other stuff we could put in here before I generate my outline, knowing that I like to fill up my box before I generate outline?
Um, I don't, are you doing, so I was going to ask, are you doing this from different point of views, or are you just sticking with
It,
one
nope, it will be
character?
multiple POVs. So yes, so that's a good one. I would want, um, I would actually put in my synopsis box. Is that the synopsis? No, this is. So knowing I want alternating POVs, this is doable for you romance people too. And you could get as specific and fancy with your wording as you like. So I could tell it odd chapters are in so and so's, or maybe the female's POV, even chapters are in the mails. I have actually told it generate an outline with alternating. This is my other story, but this is one that I have used and it worked great to distribute between those people. So I would put something like that so my outline does know to get instructions there. But you could also try it in genre. I just think it's going to pick up better here in the synopsis box. Um,
I was also going to ask you if you were going to do any more like subgenres. Like, are you doing this strictly as a coastal thriller? Or are you going to add some police procedural in there or any romance, any of that stuff? I didn't know if you were going to add any more.
I'm still unsure on the romance. I'm kind of thinking no on the
Okay.
romance for right now on this one, but set her up later. I think the police procedural will be good since this going to cut to the interrogation rooms and bounce POVs between the different people that are still there, still alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So police procedural would be good. Again, I'm loading it up before I generate my outline. And then once I generate my outline, it's going to only have a couple of things in here. I had thought of something else when I was talking about that dual POV and I forgot. Something else I like to do. This is for you series folks where your books actually end in a cliffhanger. I put this in genre and in my style box. Okay. Both of them.
So I have a question for you, Nicole. Do
Mm-hmm.
you usually like, how you're always trying to go for like a certain tone or mood in your stories?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever put that in your genre box or do you usually save that for your style box?
I kind of just do where I have room. That's another thing, especially once I've got my outline generated. My genre box essentially just becomes a secondary style box because my beats and prose are going to look at both of these. Style
Okay.
does have more effect, but it's still going to look at my genre stuff. Um,
Yep, that makes sense.
so I've just done it pretty much where I could fit it. I could even put it in my beat header. Hey, this scene has a tense atmosphere, with the characters distracted and worried, whatever. But this helps right here. This is a little gem from Ryan Mather because I was generating my first book in this series and it does end on a cliffhanger, but the AI is trying to do its job and make my book complete. So it kept adding 2 or 3 chapters to wrap the story up. And it was annoying as heck, but it was just doing its job. Again, AI doesn't think like us. Ryan said, well, try this out. I tried it. It worked beautifully, y'all. It ended exactly how I wanted it to end and left off on that note. And the purpose of having it in style 2, because the beats are looking at there, and I'm just trying to reinforce. So before I generate my beats, if I know I want a cliffhanger ending for them, I can have this here. Having it in both places, again, it's just a reinforcement. Yeah, so that's another tip for genre box. So, where can you find words for genre and all of that? Well, in that list I gave you, if you scroll down, you have 2 guides, Workflows and Tips and Sudowrite Guide. Let's see what's in Workflows and Tips real quick. Genre and style. So I gave a template here. This is actually the same template that my plugin that I'm going to show y'all uses. So if you don't want to use the plugin, you could actually just use this with Quick Chat or something. That will help give you ideas. And then if we go to the Sudowrite guide one, this has a whole lot of ideas for you to play around with all kinds of wording. So that's one. In addition to our style class for AI and the author, I'm actually doing a deep dive on style this Monday. So if this is something you're still struggling with after the features styles, which are awesome, come to that and I'm going to show y'all some tips to tweak things. All right, so those 2 guides, Sudowrite guide and the workflows and tips document. tvtropes.org, y'all. So we can go here, see what our genre is. Um, crime and punishment, drama tropes. Tell me which one you think fits best, Tabby. Uh,
Can you send a link to that too, please?
mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Um,
I will say
I would
too,
almost go with the crime or thriller. I don't think I would go with the mystery because I have a feeling that would be more of your like Sherlock Holmes.
right. While I'm thinking about it too, since tone was mentioned, there's actually a prompt I like to use. And again, I think I'm delving into style territory here. They're so interchangeable to me. But there's a prompt I like to use that I got from Marigold. It's in the workflows and tips document somewhere where I asked Quick Chat or Chat GPT to give me 5 descriptor words for the tone of the chapter and the mood of the main character, something along those lines. Y'all, that works amazingly. So I do recommend playing with that, giving it a try.
Yeah, and I was just going to go out on just add to what Nicole just said is because the genre and style box you can use them almost interchangeably. Don't feel like you're messing up. Like, I don't know which box this goes in. Don't worry about it. The important thing that you is it's somewhere for the AI to read. So just make sure you get it in there. So if you're like, I want it to be a romance, but I just don't know is that genre or style, don't worry about it. Put it in there. The AI will at least know that it's supposed to be a part of it.
Yeah, so I did grab psychological thriller. This isn't my go-to. I know a lot of people love this, but that's one way to find them. All right, I am fixing to show y'all a paid program. However, I'm going to also show you alternatives so you don't have to buy it if you don't have it already. Thought I had it open. Where is it? Here we go. All right, so this is Publisher Rocket. I think it's like $97. It's a one-time fee. You may check on the NaNoWriMo coupon page or Black Friday, see if they go and sell. I don't think I've ever noticed them doing a Black Friday sale, but I could be wrong. Anyways, this is my preferred. I definitely use it for my Amazon ads, but I like to browse this for ideas to put in my genre box. So for instance, let's go to romance because we know romance has a lot, right? Let's check it out. Let me make that. Ooh, there we go. Oh, and somebody just said the price has increased. Oops. Okay. I'll close my chat box real quick to get it out of the way. Okay, so I went into romance, and this is just stuff that can now give me ideas. I can scroll this. I love action and adventure for my fantasy stuff. Helps kind of tone down some of those cliches too. If I'm doing the clean stuff, I could do that. Historical. Okay, historical romance, a lot of people do that. But what if we can get niche down a little bit more? This is why I like browsing Publisher Rocket. You can do the same thing for free on Amazon, by the way. I just don't like that small print. I'm old. I have glasses. I like this. I think there's also maybe a website. I'm sure you can do an easy search. You can also do quick chat and chat GPT, which I'll show y'all. But I just like browsing all of these. I never would have thought to do a Tudor historical romance. Let's see what else we have. Alpha male. Well, we know that one's good. Enemies to lovers is a whole nother thing, y'all. Do not put that in the box at the same time together unless you're ready for them to reach that lover stage. Separate them up. So, just some ways for me to look and find other ideas for how much I want to delve into something. I will tell y'all, Caristina has a plugin called KDP Keywords, I think. I can't remember. Look it up. I think it's called KDP Keywords. If you can't afford Publisher Rocket or just don't want to get it, that thing works amazing for for uploading to KDP and having your keywords in the boxes that you need. I love it. I've actually compared the two outputs. Hers was definitely on par. I actually thought it was a little bit better than Publisher Rocket for finding those keywords. Another thing you can do, I'm just going to copy my brain dump since that's more. Add a new document. I mentioned I have a plugin with that template that's in that document. So I'm just going to paste this here and go to that plugin. And it's a simple one. It's just called genre and style, y'all. Just got to find it. That's the thing. There we go. So if you need some ideas, that did not come out at all. Oh, you know what? Because I have instructions in this. I bet you that's why. There we go. So this is how it's supposed to look. So this can give you ideas. And again, this is my brain dump, so it's my whole story. So I might not want to have every one of these, but yet I could copy it out and use bits and pieces. So that's another one. Brett also has a genre and style plugin. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but I think it's the same thing. So look for that one. You can also ask ChatGPT or Quick Chat. So Control K to bring up Quick Chat. And I'm going to go broad first. I like to go broad and then niche down to get more ideas. So I'm going to say, what are the subgenres of thriller novels? Do this in whichever AI program you prefer. So it gives me a list. I'm going to say it didn't actually mention coastal thrillers, so right. What are some genre elements? Again, I'm just looking for different type of wording. Got seeing something right here. I like this. So this fits the story perfectly right here. Just a little piece. I would actually put that somewhere before I generate my outline. And then I can ask it, what are themes, tropes, and suggested writing styles? And I'm even going to narrow it down more and say in Florida. I should have said in Florida during a hurricane or something like that. Thank you, Lasalia and Zeticus. All right, so here we go. What did it give us? Themes. Are y'all able to see this pretty good? Do I need to increase it? I'm guessing it's good. All right, isolation, vulnerability. Mansion intrigue sounds good, like it fits. And we got the nonlinear. So I could actually ask, you could always ask the AI, are there more? And it's going to give you more, okay? So in this case, I actually would. I was specifically asked, are there more writing styles to get ideas? All right. So we got 20 minutes left. I want to actually bounce around on y'all a little bit. Please excuse me for that. However, we keep talking about how we would change things up as we go. I want for us to actually look at things and see how we would change those up, okay? Before I do that, Tabby, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think it's I actually do the same thing you do, except for I just go through Amazon to look through genres and stuff like that. I do exactly
Oh,
what you do. And then
I don't-
or I ask chat, same thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I can't stand that small Amazon print. There was
It
something I
is.
came
And
across.
you're right. It is tiny. And it sometimes you get like I get so sidetracked, like I'm like, wait, where am I? Because you get so lost in the genre, subgenre of the subgenre of the
Okay, so I did link in that My Process document. I did link a chat GPT chat conversation, and it talks more. This one's focusing on writing style. But again, once I've done my outline, I treat my genre like a secondary style box. So if I'm out of room and style, I put the less important, that's key. I put the less important things in the genre box. So browse stuff like that. Okay, so let's go to, I'm going to keep it clean for y'all. How about that? So let's do our lit RPG that we had the other day. This one would actually stay mostly the same, I think. So when I say I would change things up, I'm going to look at the outline and kind of see what is going on in that chapter. What do I want to convey? So she's in her ordinary world. Frustrated with her mundane life. So we definitely don't want the gaming aspects really focused on right here, or at least not the gaming world she's going to end up, going into and all of that. Tabby, what's some things that pop into your head? Because I'm blanking right now on this one. What would be some genre elements that you would have? Genre, themes, tropes, anything? And Lusalia, please. Lusalia is like an expert in this, so feel free to chime in as well.
Are you talking about just for the first chapter itself?
Yes, ma'am.
Um, so are you, so now that you've generated your outline, are you talking, I guess I got confused. Do you want me to
I
talk
jumped
about?
into a lit RPG one just to show them how we would change things up.
Okay, so is this after you've generated your outline then that you want to
Correct.
go into
Yes,
changing it?
ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, so if you're changing your genre for prose and you're just wanting it for your prose, I would change this. So let's say you're now in your ordinary world. Your chapter one's always what they call your ordinary world. You're kind of getting to know your character, and so you're going to want to change it. So you don't want to put thriller, horror, um, romance all right in the beginning. You're going to want to focus on what does this chapter focus on. So like right now, like it says here, her mundane life, you may want to just put like contemporary, like you might not even want the AI to know yet that it is an a lit RPG. Like you might not want the AI to know that yet until you're actually ready for it to jump into that world. Now, if you're introducing it into that world, like, you have that first scene where, the girl gets slaughtered by the serial killer, absolutely you can start there. But I'm with Nicole that you're going to want to change it. So like for this one, that you can even do introduce character in your genre. You can do contemporary. You can go you can stick with just like literature, just things that keep it so that it's not jumping out of that genre. If you don't want it to start including those elements, then don't put it in there. My favorite story is the one where I was writing a zombie story and I put in science fiction because I wanted it to actually eventually go into how the virus was caused. But because I put in science fiction and it was only an introduction to the characters and I didn't have any science fictiony stuff yet, like scientists actually working on this virus, it created a portal in my story. And this portal, like all the characters are talking about, oh, I don't think this portal was supposed to open until tomorrow. And there's no portals, you guys, in my zombie story. This isn't like a science fiction story. I just wanted the science fiction for the virus, but because I included it, the AI wanted to add it. So just watch those things. So if you don't want science fiction or your lit RPG just yet, like she's just a gamer right now, get rid of all of that stuff in that first chapter.
And y'all do not have to limit genre or even style box to the kind of wording you see. I don't have to limit genre to words like lit RPG and just small little phrases like that. I can type out in sentences. Monique, one of our teachers, she actually loves to do that in her genre box. She will guide it something along the lines of this is a romantic small town romance featuring I'm making stuff up, but featuring a cowboy and whatever. And she will go on to say, include elements of such and such and such. I mean, she just types it out in sentences. So if that works for you, do that. It works great.
That's such a great idea. I have not tried it. Now I want to go try it.
Lusalia, do you have anything you want to add on how you would actually start this lit RPG story? If you don't mind me putting you on the spot.
I don't. If she's not in the video game world and she's just starting out in, on Earth or something, this would be where I would start trying to make her more relatable. I mean, to the reader. Um, what is she going through apart from a mundane life? I mean, we all have this idea that our lives are boring compared to everyone else, grass is always greener kind of thing. So, what makes her more relatable? As for genre, I would look into more tropes. And, is she a fish out of water even on Earth
Oh, that's a good
compared to
one.
people?
I like that one. All right. And so let's jump down to chapter 5. Okay. So in chapter 5, Rain is our Ava. They're the same person. This is just her in-game thing because now she basically died and got resurrected into the game thing. So here is where I would have that like combat training monologue, not top montage. Training tactic, anything that says, look, she's learning fighting skills, combat skills, all of that. I want it to focus on that. Mentor, mentee, all of those little things. That's how I would start changing up my genre to that. I actually would like, I would just take some of this too, combat skills, hand-to-hand combat, training challenges, things like that. And then let's see. So you have some where you know where she's joining her group, they're going on quests. So I would be having some questing elements in there. Let's look at we have our Jack the Ripper. Oh, let me restore this properly. Good enough. All right. So chapter 1 for our Jack the Ripper story. Let me see what's happening here. So I'm just introducing Victorian London. This would actually be a good thing to put in the genre box. So I could put that there. I would be focusing more on the atmosphere, descriptions, how I want it, the immersive setting details, all of those things. Let's see, this is chapter 2. News of the murder spreads. We have our investigator coming. So this chapter would scream to me a lot of tension and worry. So I would incorporate those kind of elements into the genre. Anybody feel free to chime in, Tabby? Anybody else?
Yep, I was just gonna say that too, is if so also on your focus, if you have a B story or like a story that's kind of parallel to the other story that's going on, like I'm gonna throw this out because I don't think you did this, Nicole, but since this is Jack the Ripper, I'm throwing it out. Let's say, like, obviously there's going to be a detective working on this case during the murders. Well, let's just say you want the subplot of a detective falling in love with one of the prostitutes, and he wants to protect her from Jack the Ripper, and so like that is one of your subplots, and you want to have a couple romantic scenes, so that's where you would want to start changing your genre box too. So let's say it is just a scene throughout your entire chapter. Well, you can go in and change your genre and style for those scenes and for those chapters. Include that this is going to have the B story, the romantic element in it. Don't be afraid to change it when you start doing. And of course, romance isn't the only B stories. There can be family conflicts. There can be other relationships going on. There can be like someone is fighting with their career. Like maybe this detective who's working on it doesn't really want to be a detective anymore. So he has a lot more going on than just trying to solve this case. Like he wants to stop being a detective. So this is his final case. So he wants it solved. So, which is really sad because it never is. But that's just, so like, those are things you can include inside. So consider those two, is those side stories, those B stories. Consider those when you're working on your genre and your style box. Consider those like not just your main story, but also the stories that are intertwined with the main. Include those in your genre.
Yeah. Jade, let's talk about that right after this. In fact, we only have 10 minutes left of this class, but in case people missed the announcement, I will give the announcement after class is over real quick and we could chat about that. I might even be able to demo it for you if I have it ready. I'd seen one that caught my eye. Where was it? Okay, so here the investigator's beginning his search. So this might be where I'd include something like the procedurals. Focusing on, I actually had this wording somewhere in it, but I think it was in my beats or my beat header. But I would have like procedural techniques. What is that word? Befitting? That's not the word I'm looking for, but like befitting that time, that error, all of that, Let's see. So in this one of the victims, but she is during her, one of the prostitute stage right now. She's not dead yet, still alive, kicking. So I would actually have that sexual encounter then. And then depending to how graphic do I want it to go. This would be more an emotional character analyzing. And of course, when it comes to violence and sex, y'all, don't be afraid to use your descriptor words. This works great for style and genre. Tomas taught me this whenever I started Sudowrite, and it has been one of those things that it saved me at that time, greatly improved my prose, and it's still something I incorporate to this day. So you want violence, right? You're writing a mafia or Jack the Ripper or whatever. Okay, that's great. Tabby, what's going to happen if I tell the AI hey, I just want some violence?
Nothing, Nicole, nothing will happen. No. It will listen to you, Nicole. That's the problem with AI. It listens to everything you say. It knows.
Yes. So what the AI gives me with violence might not be what I wanted. Maybe it gives me this dull violence thing,
Yep. Yep.
Maybe it
You're
goes too far and too graphic. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah. So if you give generics, like Nicole said in the beginning, if you give just romance, it's going to write just romance. If you want it to be more specific, you're going to have to, how graphic do you want it to be? How, um, or do you want mild violence? Kind of think of it, and this was one of John's little things is, do you guys know when you watch television and movies and it always puts at the very top corner why that television show is rated that way? Because it has mild violence or sexual encounters or smoking, alcohol use. Use those exact words if you want those in your story. Use those, if you want mild violence, if you want extreme violence, make sure you're telling the AI levels.
Yeah. So that's where I was going with that. But I do want to give proper credit because that was actually Tomas that taught us
Oh,
that.
it was Tomas?
Yeah, he taught us that.
Okay.
Me, I like to give credit where credit is due.
It's true. I do too, but clearly I give credit to the wrong people.
Well, you've heard it since then. I mean, you can only credit who you heard it from.
Yeah,
I just want to say,
I
yeah,
heard it from John.
yeah, Tomas taught us that. So
Okay.
use those TV ratings. I actually went in, so it would be in the workflows and tips document. Tips and tricks from the community, maybe. Yeah. Here we go. Yep. So in the tips, and let me go back so y'all can see just in case y'all want to go to that one. In the all class documents, workflows and tips. The last one, tips and tricks from the community. Style and genre boxes. and you scroll down, changing levels of heat, violence, and language. So that's Tomas. That was his old Slack name. So I actually compiled a bunch of this. Okay. I can't tell you how many times somebody said they can't get homosexual content. And I asked them, hey, did you actually put that in your genre box? No, I never thought of that. Yeah, it can be that simple sometimes. Every once in a while, it can be that simple. If I put that in there, guess what? It's going to bring that in. Not a care in the world, no struggling with it at all.
Like adding a cliffhanger ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So,
Like we've been struggling with that for a long time. And we finally just asked, and they were like, well, why don't you just put that? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't think about it.
And like this, like you said, mild profanity, strong. I mean, there's a difference, right? If I just put profanity, but I know I just want it sprinkled here and there. John has a good one, just dirty words. That worked great. I never thought of that. But you know, what kind of profanity? Do you want it really strong? Do you want that crude language, which I love? Um, Alcohol use, drug use, same thing. Do you want it to be light, excessive, things like that? Use those descriptor words. So I was trying to find my Slayer one. So forgive me. I guess I know it's here somewhere, but it gets lost in all the class. Oh, there it is. I don't think my outline's done in this one. No. Okay. Let me jump over to this account.
I did want to point out, like, in the chat, someone had said sometimes violence just changes the tone of the text. I can absolutely agree with that. If you just want to change the tone, like so it just has that like an undertone of violence and stuff, and you're not worried about the level, you can put that in. If you're worried about the level, absolutely put mild or severe or strong or, mess with those different words. But yes, just messing with words like that, you can mess with the tone of the actual story itself.
My history's not here. So in some of these, I have extensive style and genre history. This is actually the one where I loaded up the boxes in. So right now I have young adult because I've generated my outline. Before that, fantasy, I believe I had stuff. The Chosen One. Can't believe it's not in that one. Sorry, I hate it when I really want to show something and it's not there. Maybe it was
Yeah,
this.
I noticed on some of mine, like the history disappeared when it changed from Story Engine to Story Bible. All of my history disappeared. So all those examples I had are gone.
Okay, so here I copied it out. So this is the type of stuff I have in my genre box before I generate the outline. Okay. And like I said, knowing what I know now, I actually have some contradictions in here, but it's okay. In that outline, I find it's not a big deal. But if I had left all of this in, especially these, the friendship and loyalty, conflict and loyalty, all of these, that could pose some issues because like Tabby said, the AI takes you very literal. But this is an example of how I could fill up my genre box before I generate my outline. And then after outline is generated, I'm only going to have a few things. So I'm not going to mention slayers here in chapter 1. That is not what it's about at all. It also happens 300 years ago. So I want to make sure I incorporate things. I don't want to have the electricity. I don't want them watching TV or getting on the internet, things like that. So I want to make sure I incorporate that kind of element. Here,
What, Nicole? The internet wasn't around 300 years ago?
one thing I had done wrong in one of my things, I had put something along the lines of a mix of Romania and Louisiana or New Orleans and all that. So here in chapter 1, it was throwing that in. It had my character who was in Romania, because this happens in Romania, remembering his time in New Orleans and wanting to go back, but he hadn't been to New Orleans yet. So you got to be careful. And then here, they're actually going to be in New Orleans. So I would let it know, hey, New Orleans, if I want to incorporate that dialect and things along those lines. So does that give everybody an idea of how to change things up? You know, when I get to the chapters where there's fighting, I'm going to have that intense violence. What is the word I like to use? I like to use intimately detailed. It was another one I parsed from Tomas. Dang it. Intimately detailed fight scenes. I know there's some other wording that I'm forgetting. Let's see. This was an old good one. If somebody's still struggling, I love that one. Okay, I'm not saying, but yeah, something like intimately detailed to bring things down. Stacy likes to use wording like slow down the action along those lines, something like that. So there's lots of ways to change things up. So we're just at the hour. Does anybody have any questions on anything that we didn't quite cover enough for the genre box? Yes, ma'am, Miss Beverly. Is she muted still? Oh, you're muted, Miss Beverly.
Unmute. How's
There you
that?
go.
Hey, nice to see you guys again today. Um, in relation to what was described as far as being in one world, in the ordinary world, and then moving onward, my question is, when you change the genre, do you change in the genre box or do you change it in kind of another area as you go and it changes?
I just changed things here. These are the main box I focus on.
Okay.
To our beats class and the outline, you'll see I actually also like to use instructions. Like I actually put certain kinds of instructions in my outline box to guide my next generation. Then I can put a beats header. So I'm always guiding it at every step. It's not just a put it here and I'm trusting the AI to fulfill it. No, I'm still going to try to guide it more and to get it to go exactly where I want it to go.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yes,
Perfect.
ma'am. Tabby, what about you?
I'm similar. I don't change my genre box nearly as much as I do my style box. Like I said, I kind of find like the genres like my foundation in my house, so I don't want to change it too much. I find that like I want it. So to me, the genre is how your story is written. And so I want it written as a coastal thriller. So I like to let the AI know that this is constantly, I like to let it know that it's a coastal thriller. But that's where my style box comes in because that's to me is the way that it's written. That's where I'll start changing everything out. I do change it, like especially if I'm working on like the B stories, I'll change out the genre because I don't I don't necessarily need it to be coastal thriller when I'm working on a romantic scene within that thriller. Same thing for like horror. I'll take out, especially like Nicole said, when you're writing horror and it's all the kids are getting ready to go up to the cabin, so they're just packing their backpacks. You don't need the serial killer to come in and just start slaughtering your teenagers then. So yeah, I'll start taking words like keywords out of that. But like if you have a certain theme that you want continued, or if you have certain goals that your characters are trying to meet, absolutely, I'll keep those in the genre almost the whole time. I don't change out my genre too much. It's mostly my style box that I change.
On the subject of horror, so if y'all like slasher stuff and y'all are looking for a good book, kind of like to study, I absolutely loved Camp Slaughter by I think it's Sergio Gomez. It's a white cover with like I think like a cabin in the woods type look to it. That was so good. Like simplistic writing yet graphic, and I just loved it. And they actually your what you just said made me think of it because there's actually a scene they're just waiting in the house to leave, and the serial killer comes in and starts killing them. Oops, spoiler. Dang it. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Um, and I want to stress again, y'all, your genre and your style box just have so much influence over the prose, especially the style box. So if you're getting a lot of AI cliches, again, the togetherness, make sure you don't have romance anywhere. If you're getting those tapestries, determination, check your character boxes. Guess what? If you have your character described as a determined individual, you're going to get a lot of determination, okay? Excuse me. So it's very important to align everything with exactly how you would word it. If there's wording in here, like we talked about with synopsis and brain dump, is if there is wording you do not like, get rid of it, okay? If you're still not quite happy, like you're saying, oh, it's so flowery, you know, too much purple prose, whatever, that's just nailing in your style box.
Oh, yeah. And Nicole, that's a great point. If you don't want something, don't put it in your genre or style box. Okay, so do not put it in there. So if you're like, I hate purple prose, so I put don't put purple prose, take it out right now. Instead, put straightforward or simplistic writing. Don't tell the AI not to do something, because a lot of times it will do it, because it gets confused with the nots and the don'ts and the can'ts. It gets confused.
Yeah. Avoid and shun work better, but still it's better if just instead of telling it not to do something, you tell it what to do. So if I go and tell
Yeah.
Tabby, hey, don't eat all the chocolate ice cream.
Oh, all I'm gonna
Okay,
do
well,
is think about it and go to your freezer
yeah.
slowly.
If you have kids, you understand this, okay? If you tell your kids, I'm trying to think of something, of course I'm blanking now, but you're wanting them to behave, not get into trouble, but you're just telling them, don't act up. Well, in the kid's mind, what they're about to do is not acting up, maybe. So they're still going to do it. So no, you need to sit there. You need to speak in a low voice, play on your iPad. You tell the AI exactly what you want it to do.
Yep. I was gonna say, it's like telling someone, don't think about pink elephants, and then what's the first thing you start thinking about?
Luigi, to that statement, I never had to warn one of my kids not to touch outlets because I was doing something on the computer. I think I was gaming, bad mom, and he was behind me. And the next thing I know, I actually heard this zap thing. And I turn around and he's holding a key, like a house key, just a little bit from the electrical outlet with this, well, no pun intended, but a shocked look on his face. Never touched another outlet again. So, all right. I know we're over the hour. I said I'd talk about some more, but I want to do that off the recording because I don't even know if it's going to be available. But any questions on this that we missed? Let's see. If the prose in chapter 1 is coming out not as I want. So your chapters do not see each other unless you're writing in the same document. So you don't need to do anything with that chapter 1. You don't need to delete it. You might want to save it in a document, use some bits and pieces later. But just go through your style box, nail that in a little bit more, then you can rewrite chapter 1. Or, if you just want to go through and manually edit it to make it your style. But that chapter 2 is still not going to see that chapter 1 again unless you're in that same document. So it's best to get that style box nailed down. And I've been using Sudowrite almost 3 years now. I want to show something, but I don't want to. Okay, here we go. So I've been using Sudowrite almost 3 years now. I had gotten to the point, I guess about 6, 8 months in, where I was getting about 75% of useful prose. Okay, it was good. But only here, probably, well, maybe 6, 8 months ago, actually. I was working, I got an idea from another user, went into chat, asked it for some out-of-the-box thinking. So not just, descriptive details, something different. How I got that. A version of this is actually used in the gritty style. So think outside the box. Once I tweaked my style box again this time, put in some additional things. I loved this one. This got me to almost 100% usable prose, y'all. Is it publish ready? No, of course not. First of all, it was AI generated. I couldn't copyright it. I don't want that. Second of all, it doesn't quite have all of the descriptive details I want. It still doesn't have my little touch in it. No, but I was able to use almost 100% of the prose and add in my own stuff. That's what I mean by almost 100%. Not that it's ready to go off. So don't be afraid and understand that it can take some time. But when we get to that style class, or actually if you come to the class on Monday too, with those featured styles, you have such a better head start than we did. So don't give up hope, I'm telling y'all. And again, I was using it for so long, and just now recently, I was able to jump up and be super excited about the kind of prose that I was getting. All right, so any last questions before I stop the recording? No? Awesome. Well, like I said, we can chat if y'all want to hang around a little bit more. We were going to talk about something. I want to circle back to Jade's question. So if not, thank you for hanging out with us, and hopefully we'll see you for the next class. Bye, everyone.